one red, pour out the Jameson for ancestors to swig.
You rescue me yet again. You put me first everywhere. You make me feel better than the multitudes. You rescue me yet again. You put me first everywhere. You make
That's it. I like he said, I give my son the things that I long for from my father. So some of the things that I long for from my father was just niceness, really. Like my father was mean to me, in my opinion. Like looking back, he was just mean to me all the time. Now, me and my father have a great relationship now. As I grew up and became a man, I realized the things that he was doing was to help me become a man. But of course, his way of doing it may not have been, the most ideal way. But he got it done because I'm a man, I'm successful, I take care of my children. So he can look back and say, okay, well, I might have made a couple mistakes, but I'm proud of the man that you've become. I'm proud of the man that I see taking care of his kids. You know what I mean? And like I say, when it comes to my son, I give my son the things I longed for from my father. So with my son now, I'm still hard on him as my father was, but just not as hard on him, as well as I'm more patient with him. And you know what I mean? And I do talk, instead of whooping him all the time, I talk to him. I try to talk to him and discuss things with him first. And then after he makes them, if he continues to make the mistake, that's when I bring the belt out. But I'm just saying, if he does something, I don't just automatically, oh, you was wrong, I'm whooping your butt. Because a lot of times he didn't know he was wrong. He was just being a kid. You know what I'm saying? So instead of me jumping on him and, blowing down on him, it's like, all right, hey, I know you was just being a kid. I know you don't understand, but now that you're in trouble and that I got something that we're having this discussion, you understand from now on, if you do that, you're going to get in trouble, right? You understand. And once we get that understanding, he says he understands, a lot of times I don't have any more issues out of the young man. And he's only 6. So once we sit down and talk and have a discussion, I let him know, hey, I'm not going to whoop you this time. You know what I'm saying? But if it happens again, you will get a whooping because, right now I'm letting you know this is your chance. This is me saying, hey, you didn't know what you was doing. I understand that. It's cool. Next time you do it though, I'm going to feel as though we're having this discussion. So next time you do it, there's going to be some consequences for your actions. Maybe a butt whooping. You may not be able to watch TV. We don't know. But if you don't do it again. So, like I said, man, this was a great interview. Let's keep going.
Past neglect or not having, so I say don't live from what you lacked, live from what you longed for. So I told my son, I said, look, son, because sometimes he missed the mark. I said, man, you could prove my theory wrong. I said, I'm gracious with you. If I know you got a lot of homework, I'll help you wash dishes. But that doesn't mean you don't try to ace that test tomorrow. That doesn't mean you don't give me your best. You don't take advantage of this love that I'm giving you, or comprehensive fatherhood. Mm-hmm. You take advantage of it. The fact that I don't have to yell at you just to convey a wrong that you've done, that we can talk through this. I can teach you how to verbally process how you feel so that you don't repress those emotions and then it comes out when you getting a fight at school or you're disconnected in the class. And so I always tell parents to parent from love. I don't like the motto of, shut up and listen, I'm the parent.
That's right.
No, allow you.
I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
Especially when you're seeing that you're going to learn from action.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So if I'm seeing you, if you selling drugs, how you tell me not to sell
exactly.
drugs? That's literally out me and my dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep. And even like some of the boys say, I see my dad do this and my mom do this, but yet they tell me not to do it. And so as a parent, we're our children's greatest influence. We may think it's the athletes, the rappers. Statistically, that's not true. We're our children's greatest influence.
I was going to ask you, so for a father listening right now, besides your book, what book do you recommend, or a movie or documentary that can help, maybe their child in their relationship or their situation? Or Or even with, somebody that's not in Detroit, do you, recommend that maybe they join some type of martial arts? Or, what do you suggest?
Well, as far as books, man, my foundation is the Bible. I'm not going to, that's my foundation. And I don't want to push my books, but what I love about Cry Like a Man and from the testimonies, it allows, I share my life in such a way where you can see yourself in it. And the truth be told, not too many people were talking about or are talking about escaping emotional incarceration, this safe space that appears like it's protecting us, but it's actually hindering us from really living the lives that we long for. And so, but as far as books, the scriptures, I love Battle Cry as well.
Another Jason Wilson book. I recommend those. I recommend Cry Like a Man, Battle Cry, Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health by Dr. Rita Walker.
Brother Ron, what's the one book you were reading about fatherhood? The Intentional Father. That's a great book.
By John who? John Tyson.
So that's a great book as well.
Resma Minicum, My Grandmother's Hands. Phenomenal.
And so, as far as martial arts, again, if you're looking for what we do in the cave, it's kind of hard to find because, again, when most people join martial art academies, they're looking for this belt rank or to get skilled in fighting, not necessarily to become a comprehensive man or to deal with your own trauma. But there are so many great martial art teachers that have the capacity to help you break free from that. You just have to allow them. My favorite right now is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It makes you face your fears. So if you're a good striker, I can keep you off of me. But jiu-jitsu, to get good at it, you got to let a person in. And so often as men, we fear allowing men or anyone to have that space. So we keep a border up to keep people from coming in. Jiu-jitsu makes you face that. It makes you understand that you have to stay calm when someone is choking you or life is choking you. And so definitely I would suggest that for men who really, are having some trauma or trauma issues or just issues of fear, to find a reputable jiu-jitsu school and with a great teacher and a patient teacher to help you walk through that.
You know what I love about God, man? Like, God is the best no-end planner, right?
Absolutely.
You think about this film, the Cave of, I always pronounce it wrong.
Adullam.
Yes, the Cave of Adullam.
Yeah.
Executive produced by Lawrence Fishburne. This probably could have went anywhere. But look where it ended up.
Yes.
ESPN,
Yes.
the worldwide leader in sports, a network that so many men watch.
Yes.
Like God put that doc exactly where it needed to be for who needed to see it.
Absolutely, man. And what's a blessing is when I get reached out to by NBA players or football players to see their transparency and wanting to grow, wanting to become better husbands and better fathers and better individuals, man. It just makes the hard work, the blood, sweat, and literally the tears worth it. Because, we'll see the cars, the fame, top 75 in history, but yet they're struggling behind the scenes.
Right.
They're hurting. They want to save their marriage. They want to be more patient. They don't want to yell at their kids because they're running late at school, for school. And so to be able to be a source of encouragement, somewhat like a spiritual father to them all. And then for them to watch the Cave of Adullam documentary and see themselves in one of those boys. And to finally have that healing cry to say, wow, I've been holding on a lot of this pain of how my father would always condemn me when I would make a mistake, or my mother was emotionally checked out because my brother was murdered. And I never really got that nurturing love. And then to get that healing and then to go back to your father and say, hey, Dad, I forgive you. I love you. Can we start fresh now? Or Mom, I completely understand why you guarded your heart because of the heaviness of the brokenness of you losing my brother and your son. And that's the beauty of the Cave documentary. It showcases that although as a people in our communities we experience a lot of trauma, it doesn't have to be our experience, our entire experience.
What has been the most impactful medium of messaging, whether it's clips going viral or the film or books? What do you think hits people the most?
I would say clips. I would say both, brother, because I've just yesterday, men crying, I'm standing up for an hour signing books. And And audiobooks I didn't realize how many people listen to audiobooks. So I'm so glad I read Battle Cry. Brother, I think it's a combination of both. I was in the gym one day and a Romanian man comes up to me and I love wrestling and I could tell, I look at the ears, I say, yeah, he's
a wrestler, right.
And so he comes up to me, his eyes are bloodshot. And he says, man, I don't want to interrupt you, what you're doing, he said, but I had to share with you your books and everything, man, has truly changed my life. And he got choked up, he hit his chest and just walked off. And so to know that I had that type of impact, that me transparently sharing my story is allowing men of all ethnicity to break free from this emotional bondage and stop suffering in silence. Social media. A brother reached out to me, was about to kill himself. And I get so many direct messages, but this one, the Most High say, I need you to open this one. Yes, it's going to take your night away. You won't be able to rest. You need to call him. I said, give me your number. I'm going to call you right now. Called his brother. He's in Canada, crying, very traumatic past. I called my psychotherapist. He says, I won't charge him. Give me his number. I'll call him tomorrow. He spent 3 hours with him on FaceTime and saved his life.
Wow.
And so the impact of the books and media, it's been more impactful right now than even having this beautiful documentary out because more people scroll on social media. And it's imperative that, that's why I love what you do, brother. I mean, for you to use your platform to increase awareness of mental health in our community is needed and is commendable because brothers are on the verge. As you know, we die by suicide 3 times as likely as women. And we don't live long as women either. 9 out of 10 people who live to be over 100 are women. And so it's imperative that this message is broadcast on every form of media as possible. Because again, like right now, it's a brother ready to jump. Feel he isn't good enough, never could measure up. And that's due to
society.
I think men not being having the emotional freedom to really be human. We're locked into just doing instead of just being.
I want to go back to something you said earlier because, NBA Youngboy just did an interview with Billboard and he expressed the same thing. And I've heard a lot of people express this. I've expressed it myself, just as far as, the content that we may have created as we were growing and evolving. And, you was talking about the music. And I'm like, how much we should give ourselves a lot of grace in regards to the music we used to create or even the content we used to create because we literally were doing the best with what we had and we were in survival mode. And I'm the type of person I feel like you got to give people grace when they're doing what they feel like they need to do to survive.
Not necessarily. And what I mean, I can use my brother, for example. He sold drugs because he thought that's what he needed to do to survive. As a result, a lot of people lost their lives. So I can't really, celebrate that.
Not celebrate that, but once he knew better, he started doing better.
No, he didn't.
Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He died a terrible death. And he didn't do better. And so, again, I didn't come out because I knew I was wrong. I knew I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing with my gift. But it was those 2 near-death experiences that changed me. Now, I do get what you're saying, have enough grace on yourself to not condemn yourself for some wrong that you've done. Forgive yourself and move forward, but we still have to acknowledge that what we were doing was wrong.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the key. If not, the next generation will keep doing it, and then the next generation. And we came up in what they consider the golden era of hip-hop, And so you look at the covers. I was just sharing this with the young kids yesterday. None of the rappers I loved smiled on the album cover. And so we call it asset framed marketing. So now in the cave, if you look at the first class picture, everyone was tough. Now all of my boys smile because it's imperative that we change this narrative. And so what's wrong with smiling?
Ain't nothing wrong with smiling.
But you don't want to be perceived as a joke. I know guys that smile that you wouldn't stand 1 minute with them in a ring or on a mat. It does not dictate who you are as a man. So I want to be compassionate, but also want to be courageous. I want to be sensitive, but I want to be strong. And so that's what I want to model for boys and men, because at the end of the day, none of us want to stay in what I call like lion mode or fight or flight, where you got to be grim all the time and tough, looking over your shoulder. I have to be that way when I have to be, but I want to live in the lamb. I want to be at peace. I want to chill in the green pastures as long as I can. However, when a predator comes or a threat comes, the lion will arise and defend the pride. And that's the importance of us as men to model that. Even in the hip hop culture, like a lot of rappers that reach out to me, I was like a fan of. And so it blesses me to hear them say, man, I really respect what you're doing and I want to become that type of man. And as you know, from the survival standpoint, in hip hop, many of us did what we had to do to eat, but a lot of that was in a dream. We want to be rich. We want to be paid.
Right.
And truth be told, in Detroit, the majority of drug dealers I knew, they didn't have to sell drugs.
Yeah.
Sold drugs because you got props from it. You got women. You got the cars. It wasn't a necessity to eat.
But that all comes from a place of lack, right? Not necessarily lack of finances, lack of
affirmation.
lack of,
From brother feeling special,
Yeah.
celebrating that.
Yeah.
And so my brother wasn't starving. But when his friends pulled up in a BMW, he's working at a gas station pumping the gas, and the girl he liked was in the car, and they all laughed at him and pulled off. He vowed that would never happen to him again. And when I say it never happened to him again, it never happened to him again. But unfortunately, he's not here to see his daughter's life.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hold on, man. Something came and something went. Hold on.
And that's the importance of us as men to model that. Even in the hip hop culture, like a lot of rappers that reach out to me, I was like a fan of. And so it blesses me to hear them say, man, I really respect what you're doing and I want to become that type of man. And as you know, from the survival standpoint, in hip hop, many of us did what we had to do to eat, but a lot of that was in a dream. We want to be rich. We want to be paid.
Right.
And truth be told, in Detroit, the majority of drug dealers I knew, they didn't have to sell drugs.
Yeah.
Sold drugs because you got props from it. You got women. You got the cars.
I would say yay and nay. Because there was definitely people out there who definitely who definitely didn't have any, like there was people out there who was raised, the mother was on crack, father's an alcoholic, father's in jail, or mother and father in jail. You know, those type of situations and environment. And I'm not saying that you didn't have some great people come up out of those type of situations, but what I'm saying is when you're faced with those type of situations in that environment, the only place you're going to turn is, the streets. As well as, at one point in time, man, crack was the cool thing to do. Like, not to do, but to sell. So, like, if you was, and when I tell you this, I'm talking about niggas was selling crack at like 13, 14 years old. Like, young as fuck on the strip with pockets full of crack, okay? That's what, we was doing back in the day. And it was, a lot has changed since then, of course. But, yes, back then, and even selling, I keep it real, like he just said, a lot of people didn't have to sell crack. You know why? Because our people were still, our parents were still, some of our parents, not everybody, but there were still people out there like who had parents who went to work every day, who were trying to do the best that they could to try to get out the hood or to at least, provide for their family. But even at the same time, man, I mean, it's hard when, we're living in poverty and in the ghetto. And even if you work, a job, and you working fucking 40 to 60 hours a week, you still not coming home with no real money. You still not being able to really feed your family. You don't have like a family of 4 or 5. You know what I mean? Like it's a problem. So no, crack became the way that people were able to feed their family, as well as put their children through private school. It was a lot of money and a lot of good things came out of people who sold crack. Now, like he said, there was a lot of people who died crack, but I'm gonna have to say, I didn't start really hearing about people dying off drugs until heroin. When niggas really start fuck with that dog food, now that's where, you start hearing about niggas overdosing. And now you got this Fenty, The fentanyl ain't really even shit. That shit, if you smoke that shit, it's over for you. I don't even think that's. I mean, it's considered an overdose, but shit, that's not even really an overdose, cause nigga, that's a regular dose of that shit, and it'll kill you. So, and it's killing people left and right now. So, you know, it's. I don't know. Now once again, I'm in the hood. I'm not in the projects. And like I said, I can tell you in the hood, you know, we still have crackheads, you know, who walk around. We got bums, stuff like that. But like I said, you don't see no niggas standing on the block selling nothing. Like, you don't see no niggas outside. Niggas is working off their phone, and niggas is still getting money because, once again, you just don't know a person's situation. And if you know somebody who you got crack or sell crack, and they making money off of it, and it's enough to support their family and feed their family, some people don't know no other way. That's all they know is hustling. That's it. In and out of jail for the same thing, going back to the same thing, because that's all they know, and maybe all they want to know. Well, it would probably be all, because after you get a certain age, it's definitely all you want to know, because you would think after going to jail a couple times, you'd be like, all right, well, this shit ain't working out. Let me try something different. But unfortunately, career criminals really don't think like that. They just keep doing the same shit over and over again. And I guess their mentality is, well, I've got away with it more than I've been caught. That's kind of stupid, because every time you get caught, you're going to jail doing like 3 or 4 years and coming home just wasting time. But that's a totally different story. Let's finish this on up, guys. I apologize. I went off again.
It wasn't a necessity to eat.
But that all comes from a place of lack, right? Not necessarily lack of finances, lack of
affirmation.
Lack of,
From brother feeling special, celebrating that. Yeah. And so my brother wasn't starving, but when his...
Oh, and speaking about celebration, one more thing. I'm sorry, guys. Back in our days, when we was coming up, you know who was celebrated, right? The niggas who came home from jail. Those were the niggas that was celebrated. College graduates, you didn't hear too many celebrations about them. You know, but when your big homie came home from jail, oh, we celebrating for that. That was at one point in time more. It seemed like it was more acceptable than going to college. So
friends pulled up in a BMW. He's working at a gas station, pumping the gas, and the girl he liked was in the car, and they all laughed at him and pulled off. He vowed that would never happen to him again. Mm-hmm. And when I say it never happened to him again, it never happened to him again. But unfortunately, he's not here to see his daughter's life.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Ray, I wonder if we can play that NBA YoungBoy clip. Can you play it from the board right now? I just want you to hear it.
I would love to.
Yeah, I really want you to hear it, just because, like, he said some things in there that I was like, I feel him, and I understand what he's going through. Mm-hmm. But I know why he's in that place he is, because he hasn't dealt with, trauma, whether it's from his childhood or whatever.
Yeah, and that's, you got it?
You play it?
Yep. I'm terrified of people, and I'm very shy, but I never know why once I walk on the stage, I can get it done. But I'm terrified of people. People are cruel, like you can't control all this stuff, so you never know what someone will do you. I always wanted to be a rapper. It's always my dream. I never had a plan B. Can't be on top forever. I will not be provoked, and I'm not going back to where I used to be. I only get more groovy from here.
Wow. You can hear the pain in that brother's voice.
Absolutely.
And that's, again, I don't condemn, I want to be clear, I don't condemn where these rappers are right now. I look at them as my sons. And I can't say their name, and when they reach out, I'll be like, I'm here for you. Mm-hmm. Call me. And that's the scariest step for many of them. It's like, man, okay, here's a man who's finally willing to engage in my life, but that fear of taking that first step to healing. Mm-hmm. I had a UFC fighter come visit me, and literally, we talk in one day. I said, well, look, just come see me, man, if it's that heavy. He said, I'm there in the morning, 6 a.m. So he flew in for the first time, and he's met with therapists before. I had him write out all of his past trauma. And he looked at it and broke down crying in my chair, in the chair in the office. Champion fighter. Never was able to face that. And so one of our greatest fears as men is dealing with ourselves. That's why we can't sit in a room when it's quiet. We got to always be on the phone or smoking or doing something, drinking. But when you can put all of that aside and just sit still, no matter if it's shaking you to the core and ready to face it, then you can start healing. And so just hearing that brother's voice, you know, he needs deliverance. He needs healing, and he first needs compassion and love. Like, this is a safe space, young brother. Let's get all of this out of you so you can finally live. And that's what, you know, I pray that people would see from my life who I am. Man, you know, I only got so much time here. You know, I'm 53 years old.
You look good, brother. You look good.
Thank you. I want to leave my cup empty. And I want to be a source of healing for us. And that's what I desire. It hurts me when I see men who look successful to the world, but inside they feel like losers. Their lives are falling apart. And because everyone is performance-based, everyone is gimme, gimme, gimme. Their entire text messages is people asking for money. It's heartrending, and that's why I choose to use my platform in such a way where I'm not perfect. I strive for excellence. I used to strive for perfection, but on my desk right now is a plaque that says excellentist, because that's all I can strive for. I can't be a perfectionist. And I want people to see my life, even with my wife and I. You know, 25 years this year. Wasn't an easy journey.
Dope.
No infidelity, no gambling, no just misuse of finances. We just didn't get along. The years of just me being negative to her, or her years of not trusting me. And to give men so they can see, like, man, I don't have to yell to convey that I'm upset. Like, no, our basic emotion for all men that we've mastered expressing is anger. But it's never the root cause of what's really happening. And I can give a recent example, which was kind of funny. We're in counseling, marital counseling, and our therapist was like, okay, since no one is mind readers, Nicole, you ask Jason what you would like, one thing, and then Jason, you ask her what you would like. So my wife says, well, Jay, when you come home, I would love for you to acknowledge me first instead of going to little Jay. I said, okay, I'll do that. And then he says, what about you, Jay? And so I'm sitting there. Inside of me, I'm like, man, I wish you would just submit to me. Submit to my leadership. You know, stop bucking against what I say. That's the flesh. That's anger. But what I really was feeling was like, it hurts because she doesn't trust me. And so I turned to Nicole. I said, hey, I would like for you to trust me. And she just shook her head, and she knew exactly what I was saying, because that was from my heart. The anger is never really the real issue. And I have to tell men, anger, the scriptures say, be angry, but do not sin. There's a fine line. It's a great power if used correctly. However, when we really dig deep to what's really going on underneath that anger and express that, that's when we can really communicate with the women in our lives. If we're always dogmatic, if someone's swinging at me, I'm putting my hands up. If you're swinging, you're in a dogmatic mode, your wife or the woman in your life, she's going to do this. But as soon as you say, babe, you know, that really hurts that every time I make a decision or give an idea to something, you always counter it, like almost like my mom, like you scared I'm going to make a mistake that's going to destroy this home. When you convey it that way and say it really hurts me as a man, I'm trying to do my best. I didn't have this example, but I'm just trying to set a standard for our home. My wife started doing this, and then eventually she just dropped her guard and opened her heart for me. And I had to do the same thing, because our women also have to unlearn society's definition of a man as well. So just like we ask for grace from them, we got to give them grace as well to unlearn what they've been deceived to believe a man is.
Absolutely. Well, damn, a lot of knowledge. Appreciate you
Man,
for joining
Mr.
us,
Jason
brother.
Wilson.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
Jason
for
Wilson.
Make sure you go get Battle Cry. Go get Cry Like a Man. Order them on Amazon, wherever you buy books now. Make sure you watch the Cave. I'm mispronounce it again.
Cave of Adullam.
The Cave of Adullam. You know, it's on. Is it streaming on ESPN?
ESPN Plus,
Okay.
and then it randomly airs on ESPN. So I appreciate ESPN doing that just to get it out. And we're also doing like live screenings of the film, and then we have a fireside chat for social and emotional learning for students, so they can see the
State of
value.
SEL?
Yes, so they can see the value in expressing their emotions before they become toxic thoughts.
And follow him on social media.
Yes, Mr. Jason O. Wilson.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Mr.
Jason Wilson.
Wilson.
It's the
Always a
Breakfast
pleasure,
Club.
brother. I love you.
So that was a dope interview, man. I'm definitely going to be seeing if he has any more interviews or anything like that on YouTube, which I'm quite sure he does. And I'm going to check out some of those too, probably do some reactions to those. But yeah, drop a comment. Let me know how you felt about the interview, and let me know how you feel about him. Once again, rest in peace to Godfather, Kevin Samuels. I just had to say that because I be missing my guy. But yeah, he definitely dropped a lot of jewels. I really like what he said about, you know, him and his wife, you know, getting it together. So yeah, I think it was a great interview. Once again, you know where you're at. This is Black Fathers Initiative of Cleveland YouTube page. Really appreciate the love. Make sure you go to our website, www.blackfathersofcleveland.com. Appreciate the love. Peace. Till next time.